If you saw my tarot reading slash tarot spread for Cancer season, you might have noticed the beautiful, if I do say so myself, spread cards that I created to illustrate and label that spreads and the reading as I was doing it. I really love using spread cards to label spread positions, especially when I'm reading for other people. And I've used the deck of 1,000 spreads for this in the past. But as my spreads have become a little more, I feel like they have a little more personality to them than the deck of 1,000 spreads can accommodate. My spread positions have become a little less straightforward and a little more like archetypal, I guess you could say. And so the deck of 1,000 spreads doesn't have cards that correspond to positions like home, maiden, mother, crone, roots, sun, flowers. So I have made a couple of my own spread cards and I'm really loving the idea of expanding these. But before we get into all of the ideas that I have for the future, I thought that I would share with you today a little bit about the process behind making these spread cards. So this is going to be a super short video. So, follow along if you're interested. I'm Vervain. I am a maker of magic and a maker of beautiful things, and I like to do those things together here on this channel. I like to say I put the craft in witchcraft here. Not that the craft wasn't always in witchcraft to begin with. But you've got to have, you've got to have like a fun way to say it. So that's the fun way that I've been saying it. I have been pulling cards and making magic for over 20 years now. And I like to share these things here with you on this channel. So without further ado, let's get into the process of making these spread cards. So if you're not familiar with it, this is the deck of 1,000 spreads, just for your reference. And this is actually very out of print. I don't believe you can get it anymore unless you're willing to spend kind of a lot of money on eBay. But it doesn't really matter. It's very cool, but you can make your own. And I feel like the flip through that you just saw is like enough information to kind of understand the gist of what it is for. Kind of the whole point of having a deck like that is if you don't know like where to start with your reading, kind of like you kind of know like what you want to read about, but you don't even really know how to build a spread. You can flip through your deck of 1,000 spreads and kind of pick out the cards or the which are the spread positions that are relevant to the situation that you're wanting to read about and ask about. Or maybe you do know what you want to read about and you do know like kind of how you want to build your spread, but maybe you're reading for somebody else or you just like to have it very visually laid out in front of you. And so having the spread cards can really help to show what the different positions mean. I find this really helpful when I'm reading for other people, especially when the other people only get a picture and it's more than just like a past, present, future spread or whatever, so that people can see like, oh, this card means that, this card means that, this card means that, and that's why in this context I'm interpreting this card this way. So all of that said, I have started here in this video making the cards for my tarot spread for Cancer season, which has home, maiden, mother, and crone. And I've just cut some 3x6, 3" by 6" pieces of, I don't even remember if I used like cardstock or watercolor paper. Either of those would work. And then I am using some Ranger archival inks, or they're just like permanent inks in ink pad form, and these cool little like sideways brushes that I used to think were like so gimmicky, and then I like got a really good deal on these and I tried them and I love them for ink blending. So I'm using these to create some backgrounds in different colors, and then I'm using this little moon mask stencil thing to kind of add a little moon, and then I cut out, like I traced the moon mask to get a circle and cut that out so that I could make two of the moons, like the maiden moon and the crone moon, crescents. And yeah, so I did the maiden green because it just felt like fresh new spring, like young shoots and seedlings, and had that one be a crescent. And then I did the mother one in pink with the full moon, and pink just feels like full of life and like blossoming and like the flower season and like the color of, I don't know, like the divine feminine in its like peak of life. And then for the crone, I did this kind of like coffee stained color. I don't remember what the color names are that I used here. It might have been like sepia. It's two different colors for each one. One of them was like frayed burlap or linen or something. I don't know, man. I don't know. Sorry. And at this point, I realized that I was pretty sure I did the moons backwards, and that is true. So I just decided to flip them all upside down, which in the end I think worked a lot better for the visual design anyway. I don't really know what I was thinking because I do always put the name of the spread position at the top of the card, and the moon, I think the moons ended up like too high contrast to have the word go over the top of them, and there wasn't room to put it above them. So I think they had to be flipped anyway. So I guess I just knew in my soul that the moons needed to go the direction they went, and that is what I'm going to tell myself, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So then I've used my alphabet stamps to stamp out the words maiden, mother, and crone on there. And now I'm going on to do the home card, which is the fourth position, the fourth and final position in this spread. And just kind of creating a little house by like masking as I go. So just kind of using the green to create some like grass and the blue to create some sky. And I left it modeled so it would feel a little more like a natural sky. And then I like cut little zigzags out of this piece of scrap paper, and I'm using that to kind of do like blades of grass. Um, yeah, I love these little ink brushes. I think they're so fun. And I think for cards like this, like you don't need a lot going on. The point isn't to have like a really beautiful, rich image. I think for me, like I want to have just enough imagery to evoke the meaning of the spread position from a distance. Like I want you to be able to see kind of what, like maybe if you already know what the card is, you shouldn't need to be able to read it to tell which one is which. This is one of my favorite stencils. So just doing some bricks on the house, and I think this color is actually called red brick. And then I did like cut out the scallop shape, and the scallop shape for the roof was super imperfect. Like you'll notice maybe that there's one scallop where like in between the two scallops there's like a super high, like a super deep cut, and it made like a really high peak between the scallops. It made kind of a weird line, and I just decided that that was part of the character of the design and that that was gonna be okay. So then I took them to my typewriter, and I did not film the typewriter part, but here you can see what I typed on them. And I ran each one through like the direction that you type on it, and then like they got all curled up, so I just ran them back through the other direction after I was done typing on them to kind of curl them back the other way, and that flattened them perfectly. So I'm pretty happy with that, how that turned out. I did not round the corners on these, but I keep thinking about it. I was just kind of like in a hurry to film the video that I was using these in, so I did not end up trimming the corners before I did it. But the more that I think about it, the more certain I am that I am going to go back and trim all of the corners. Anyhow, if you want to know more about this spread and maybe even see it in action, you can go ahead and watch my tarot spread for Cancer season video. It is both a demonstration of the spread so that you can grab your own deck and follow along. And play along and pulling your own cards alongside me. And also, it is a reading for the collective. I feel like the spread is very timeless, even though it's inspired by the archetypes of Cancer season. I legitimately think it's a great spread to do any time of year. The reading for the collective, I mean, you're free to resonate with it or not whenever you come across it. However, I do feel like based on the cards that came up, like it does hit really strong as a Cancer season tarot reading. So you may not resonate with the reading depending on when you see this, but I do think you'll like the spread. I hope you'll go watch it if you haven't already. And either way, if you've watched this far, I hope that you enjoyed the video and that you're not just like, you haven't just like walked away and left it running. Anyhow, if you felt like giving me a thumbs up, I would sincerely appreciate it. It helps more than you know. And if you liked this enough to want to hang around for the next video, please go ahead and click that subscribe button. I'm sure you know where it is. And I will see you around. Okay, so anyhow, until we meet again, I say anyhow so much, guys. If it bugs you, I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do about it. It's just who I am. So until we meet again, be well, seek beauty, and leave a little magic wherever you go. Love ya. Bye.